Hello, welcome back to another episode of Somewhere Between a Film and TV podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Daniel Parr.
And I'm Erwin.
And number one, thank you so much for listening and watching. Number two, what are they going to do?
They're going to like, comment, and subscribe.
Race your way to the subscribe button, please, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, you like that one, yeah?
No.
Yeah, you did. Anyway, what is it that we're reviewing?
F1.
Formula One, I guess is the full title, but it really is just F1. And did you see they already announced a sequel today?
What?
Yeah.
F2?
Wait, they can't do that. Because then that'd be like...
I wonder what they would call it.
Did you see that they were like, they better hurry up because the fourth one comes out in like 3 weeks?
Why?
F4.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't come up with that, but that was pretty funny. But everything we review will always
Did
have...
they announce like what the story was?
About Formula 2?
Yeah.
It could not be called that. Formula 1 2? No, not yet. But it has to be, I don't know, he ends with like Baja blasting at the end of this, so it's like, that's what what's it called? Bajaing?
I don't know.
Anyway, everything we review will always have full spoilers, even though this is a very much tried and true 3-act underdog sports movie. So if you know what I mean when I say that.
It's been a while since we've seen one of those.
I know, but what do you think of them? What do you think of sports movies, generally speaking?
But for a guy who doesn't really like sports,
yeah,
and didn't really like participate in sports as much, it's great.
You were on the wrestling team.
Yeah, barely.
This was one of those things where I don't know if we've ever stated it on the show before, but we have said that we love sports movies because they have a narrative, they have people to root for. They have...
So inspiring.
Yeah, they are. And I think one of the best compliments you could give to a sports movie is, does it make the sport look interesting?
Yes, I agree.
And outside of that, though, had you ever seen anything even involving NASCAR or Formula One?
Cars.
Or... That's true. I mean, really, the litmus here is this movie as good as Cars or Turbo?
Turbo? I think Turbo, yes. I love Turbo.
Come on, this movie's better than Cars. It's like...
What?
F1?
Yeah, but Turbo's better than F1.
No.
Dude,
no, it isn't.
Turbo.
You do?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I love
Why?
Turbo. It's funny.
That's about the snails that can go really fast, right?
That's why it's funny.
That's where that guy makes that really hideous taco, right? That's that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what were your expectations going into this? Were you excited?
I think I got excited the moment you brought up the fact that it was the director for Top Gun Maverick.
Kosinski, yeah.
And so I was like, oh, sweet. I love that movie.
I was going to do a joke, right? It was like, going to describe this to you as from the director of Oblivion, which I like, so it doesn't really fully work.
I liked Oblivion.
And the writer of Transformers: Age of Extinction.
Huh?
Transformers 5.
That's crazy.
He's done some other stuff that you'd be
Michael Bay's coming back to direct another Transformers
I know,
movie.
which is probably, I think, secretly what Skibbity Toilet was the whole time, so that's
unfortunate.
Funny.
That's so funny.
I'm being gaslit by that, by the way. Why are people so excited about him coming back? I know you guys didn't see 4 and 5. Is that why you're excited that he's coming back?
I don't know. I think there's like a small fan base for those movies.
I don't think there's a small fan base. I think that there's a lot of people that like watch those movies and look, just end it with a Linkin Park song and I'll forget about half the movie and then I'll be good. But this,
yeah, I was excited about this movie.
I think primarily because I'd seen so much marketing for. Oh yeah, also screenwriter of Dumbo, the remake, and I like Scream 3, but. I think when you hear the director and the entire team of Top Gun Maverick, it kind of pivots you to like, I do expect a specific, I don't know how to word it other than mechanical structure to it, in that I do feel like in terms of screenwriting practice, they probably took the first draft of Top Gun Maverick and they were like, okay, but make it about cars and not about planes, and make this Brad Pitt and not Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And make that, his name's Damson-Idris, who's amazing in this. And make that the whole like, I'm the arrogant
Miles Teller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yes, it definitely shares some similarities in that. However, does that ever bother you? Like when it comes to sports movies, like does the similar sort of DNA
No, just because at the end of the day, it's like what you said. Like a lot of underdog stories are pretty much the same, but it's just a different sport as well. But I think it's just what you also mentioned. Where can this movie make it where I care about the sport?
Yeah. And the characters.
Too. And the characters, yes. But yeah, a lot of the characters are pretty much the same. It's just different variations of it for sure.
Oh, also, this shares the same plot as Cars 3. Dude. Somebody gets into a crash, Lightning McQueen, and then he's like, I gotta train the new person. And yeah, it's pretty similar.
That's what he did.
But let's go ahead and get into it with this movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere between?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
It's one of those things.
I did not feel the runtime whatsoever.
No, it's what, like 2:35? Something like that? Yeah.
Yes.
I will say this. I think that beginning to end, this is one of those perfectly structured 1-act, 2-act, 3-act movies where it introduces, yes, the characters are surface level to an extent, but I think it works in the movie's favor.
Yes.
Because you like everybody quite a bit. Yes. I think that everybody fulfills that sort of character trope that they have to play.
Yeah, I like the little niches things that Brad Pitt's character has. Yeah. Just because it says a lot about him without saying anything. Yeah. And also with what's his name,
Damson-Idris?
Yeah, same thing with him as well.
I had not seen the show Snowfall.
Yes.
But I've heard it's amazing. And I've heard that he's a main character in it. So his performance in this, I was like, I think I'm going to watch that show now. Because he has such a charisma to him. Especially when you got to put him up against Brad Pitt. Yeah. Who is at an age now where he is still that, like, 20 years ago, he would have been reverse of who knows who. Oh. He would have been the Damson-Idris character, though. And
he's 60-something. He was
yeah.
He's still old.
And they're still putting him in the... I guess he would have been 40. Oh, yeah. How old is... He's got to be like 26 or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I loved so much about this is their chemistry with each other is also kind of insane. Yeah. And, the therapist from Ted Lasso is in this movie. I don't remember her name, but she's the mom.
Oh, really?
And, yeah. Oh. And she's pretty great in this. But... it also has that stereotypical, like, not necessarily needed romance, but it's still there.
Yeah, that's true.
And I liked them well enough. That looked like Rebecca Ferguson to me the whole time, but I thought...
I can see that.
But it's Carrie Condon, who I don't know if I've seen her much else.
You heard her voice in Avengers.
She's the... No.
Friday.
She's Friday?
She was Friday.
I thought she was... No, I'm thinking of Carrie something. Never mind. Oh. Different. One of Thanos' people. That makes sense. She actually... That's probably her natural accent, right?
She is the daughter from Better Call Saul.
Is she really?
Yep.
That's probably why I recognize her then.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite TV show ever, by the way. But...
Whoa! You're just dropping that bomb like that?
Yeah, not the first time I've said that on here.
Yeah, but like, that's your favorite show of all time.
If I can count it,
out of everything you've seen,
count it with Breaking Bad, it's like a 2-parter. But yeah. Anyway, what did you love so much about this?
I think what I loved about this movie was just the fact that it never stopped.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to how the Cars were too.
And you were like, that joke is bad.
What? You said race.
You made the same sort of
That was
joke.
bad. Whatever. Okay, whatever. It was bad. But I guess because it felt very slow in the beginning, of course. Yeah. But then it just didn't. It just kept going in terms of like the story and just building up momentum and like the tension as well. And I love how they handled the races because I think that was one thing I was worried about. Like, how can you showcase like tension through races, especially when you see cars going over? Yeah. Because like I was like in real life, I've never been to one of those like NASCAR races just because it never really appealed to me. Just because I'm like, why do I want to sit down and just watch cars go lap and lap and lap around? Yeah. It's like, unless somebody gets hurt and dies.
F1,
and then I'm not gonna...
then you're interested, I guess. Yeah. F1 is different in the sense that it's a lot faster, which I think is what separates it from NASCAR.
I think that's what they said.
Yeah. And they're like, there's one of my favorite lines early on in the movie where he's like, when have you ever gotten first in something? And he was like,
Daytona
yesterday, or something like that, or Sunday. And he was like, whenever you ever won a F1 race, and he was like, I guess the last time you did, because he never has.
Yeah.
And that sort of kickstarts their whole, like, that, Top Gun Maverick energy with each other that they have, where they can't stop butting heads on something. And honestly, the way the races specifically are designed I get why. I think the way they said in which they did this is a lot of the filming was done at actual events.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so that's really interesting how they got away with that. I don't really know, because how do you film that while the races are happening? So I don't know if they did something like the shots while they're actually there, and they were like, by the way, guys, don't count them because they're just filming a movie or whatever. But I know that this is also partially based on a real period of time for F1, because a lot of the actual people are there. As I was explaining to you before, that they do have a bunch of cameos from F1 people, and the only reason why I recognize some of them were just because I see like a couple people that I follow on Instagram obsessed with F1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they love Max Verstappen is his name, which is actually ends up being the main conflict of the final race in this movie.
Oh.
That's who that is, where they're like, this guy is relentless. He's not going to let you. Apparently, he did actually race that way. Like, and so it's really interesting that they were like, the whole final conflict, I'm sure if you're an actual fan, was probably so insane for you to be like, oh my God. Because I genuinely
want to see a golf tournament?
Oh yeah, because you're such a big golf fan. You're like, whoa.
I'm a golfer. I'm
a
gopher.
Can you name a single golf player that's not Tiger Woods?
Fuck you. You suck.
I can't either. But I'm not pretending to like golf.
Oh, dude, that's funny. I'm like, oh.
I can name maybe 3 F1 people, and that's it.
I can't even do that.
But I will say, I did kind of want to go to an F1 race. We live in Austin, so we do have that availability to go and do that.
Circuit of Americas?
Yeah, Circuit of the Americas.
Wait, of Americas or the Americas?
Circuit of the Americas, I think is what it's called. Apparently, Brad Pitt was here at that like a week ago.
Oh, I saw him, or I didn't see him, but I heard that he was at the Bullock Museum.
Was he really?
Yeah,
doing what? Oh, F1. Yeah. Duh. Because did you see it in the HDR Barco thing? Did you feel it like? Yeah. Okay. I
definitely feel the difference between that and a regular theater.
Yeah. I have to say, I'm going to see this again. I can't see it at home. It's not one of those movies. It's not.
I was telling somebody too that this movie, it reminds me of just like, okay, certain movies are just made to be seen at a theater, not at home, unless you have the entire sound system and like the screen for it. But this movie in particular was definitely made to be seen in a theater.
It also has some of the, I don't know what cameras they use, but it has some of the crispest resolution
that's insane
I've ever seen. It is gorgeously shot. I don't know. Usually with like a shot, a lot of the stuff is like in car and it's pointed at Brad Pitt or Damson-Idris, and it's so much of that like the whole front facing angle where the cars are driving by them, and I'm like, I don't know how they did this. Genuinely, some of this movie, I would need to see what actual equipment they used and like ask them like, how did you mount the camera onto the car to get it to do this? Because so much of it is clearly, I don't think outside of maybe the fireworks in the third act, unless that's real. Yeah, it's like a CG shot. I couldn't tell you what of it, and I admire that dedication to it a whole lot. My one question, it's not even a critique so much of like it is an observation, is did you feel, again, this is so specific, I think, did you feel like the narrators of the F1 races themselves were really over-explanatory?
I think so, but I don't know if that's how they talk or not.
I'm going to ask someone that, I think my friend Jacob watches F1.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask him if they talk like that, but there's a moment in this movie that, I'm going to give this movie a really high rating, by the way, just so you know. But
hey, like, me too.
There's a moment where the narrator guy goes, and he's in last place, which is the last place you want to be. And I was like,
that makes sense.
And there's another part where they're like, and they're stopping for a pit stop, which is where they change their tires. And I was like, bro, I like don't.
Oh, maybe just to remind the audience why are they stopping? The race is still going.
No, because there's actually a really high moment of tension in that, where like she drops her whatever, and then it goes into 9 seconds, and it's already like really, really like pulse pounding.
Yes.
You don't need the additional like some guy being like, and that's the car that they drive. Like that's my one just sort of like.
That's funny though.
I don't know if they talk to F1 listeners or watchers like they're stupid.
Yeah. But
I kind of got that vibe, and it was just there's those 2 moments I found kind of distracting, but that was it really. But I mean, granted, I don't know if baseball, like if they were that explanatory, they were like, and that's second base. If I'd be like, hey, I know that.
Yeah, I know that. But what if I was like a first timer going to see a baseball game, and I didn't know anything about that?
So you went to watch a baseball movie before you went and learned what baseball was?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, it makes more sense for like tennis, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Challengers didn't explain anything either.
Challengers didn't explain shit. It was just like...
This is a great movie.
It was like they bounce it back and forth. They get really mad. And
the tension?
They're like, oh, this is like the relationship? And you're like, yeah. Here it's more sort of like, I'm Brad Pitt, and I do everything the old-fashioned way. Instead of touching stuff really fast, I do it with the balls. Yeah. I was wondering what that was about. But I mean, they were like talking about how he was a professional gambler. Mm-hmm. This is one of those old school movie moments where did it ever like feel to you at a point where you're like, I'm watching one of those like, this feels like a 90s movie in the sense
I can
of
see that.
The whole just craft of everything. Mine was whenever
like almost 30 years ago.
Yeah,
crazy.
We're almost 30 years ago.
Yeah,
but it's one of those things where it was that moment where they're in Vegas and they're playing that like, we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way, and they're like playing that card game. I was like, this is such a like 90s feeling thing to me. Maybe it's because there's also like a random moment where they're in Vegas.
Yeah, that's true. That's one of my favorite parts too, when Brad Pitt's character lets Damson's character win.
Yeah.
Even though he won.
Yeah, I love that about it. Like I thought that the character growth here was really great in the sense of just that old-fashioned kind of writing where it was like, yes, he's a hothead, yes, he's arrogant and whatever. And they literally say that line to him. And I really like how they kind of incorporated... It's not in the movie much, but I like how they incorporated his whole like brand deal, like social media thing that he had. Where one of my favorite moments is when he says something, and he's like, what are you smiling about? And then, because there's a early moment where Brad Pitt's like, I don't do press conferences and all that. And then he's like, do you wish that you could have done anything differently? It's like, yeah. I love that.
Yeah, that was crazy. It's like... talking about his divorces and everything, is just him losing everything, and I'm just like, what?
No, and then he says that he's had what, like 3 ex-wives or something like that.
Yeah, and like, how would you say, like the reporter saying like, would you have changed anything? He's like, yeah,
and he lives in a...
And it's just silence.
Yeah, that guy, I think that guy was in Ted Lasso. Now that I think about it,
I thought that was a guy from Succession at first.
It looked like a guy. Oh, I know who you're.
It's like that one
you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up. But by the way, there's like a kind of... There's so many... There's a guy in this movie that reminded me a lot of Ford v Ferrari, which is probably the last racing movie I loved.
Oh, yeah.
And that one was very much the old school cars. This one's definitely more new age, because F1 cars look like Hot Wheels to me. And especially with the insides, with the like whatever that is. It looks like a remote control.
Yeah,
actually, because they even have buttons.
It looks like a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, it does.
Like that.
And I don't know if there's like going to be massive F1 fans listening to us. And they're like, "How dare you!" And they're like,
I would love to know more F1 fans.
Honestly, no. What I learned about this, I'm not like too invested in sports in real life, but I do like going to sporting events, and I would like to go to an F1 race. I genuinely, it seems like they have actual tension there, and I like that about it. But I think that's really what a good sports movie can do, is make you be like, well, I either want to learn more about this sport or I want to go to one of the actual events or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Creed did that for me with boxing for sure, I think.
Have you seen any boxing
in person? And I've just seen the matches that are like viral or whatever. The whole Mike Tyson one
with Jake Paul?
Yeah, which was like a whole, but that was kind of phoned in, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where like it draws you to events in the same way I think superhero movies can get you into comic books. Is where you're like, well, I want to know more about this. Of course, I'm not,
Me, how can I become a F1 racer?
I think I'm too terrified. I've been in a car accident. I think I'm too terrified of that.
That's yeah. I don't know if I can handle something like, was it going 200 or 300 miles per hour?
Somebody interviewed, I think it was what's her name? Amelia de Moldenberg, the one that does the chicken shop dates.
Oh, okay.
Interviewed the guy I was telling you about, Charles-Leclerc. Don't get mad at me if I got that wrong. And was like, what's the fastest you've ever gone? And he said 230 miles per hour. And there was like a joke, but she was like, oh, I thought you would have been faster than that. But I think that they do push that. I think they go from like anywhere from like 200 to 230. One of the most sort of, they got a lot of mileage out of
Whoa! That was better.
I wasn't even trying to make a joke there, but they got a lot of mileage out of doing this where I love shots of shit that just looks cool. Mm-hmm. And so whenever they flip the back of the car up to get the wind to push it faster, they get so much out of doing that, because if you love F1, you're going to get so many different shots of these cars looking so cool. Yeah. And there's two people that like don't even
know. I didn't know much about it, but I think also what I love about this movie was just the sound. Everything about the sound, design, editing. It was just, I don't know. It definitely emphasizes that a lot more, and most likely just because if you are at those races, that's all you could hear.
Oh yeah, no, you have to take headphones. I've been to a NASCAR race before, and it was so loud. Yeah, but the only way you can really describe a movie like this, and it's probably why we're sort of like talking more about the technical aspects of it, is it's very like mechanical and like a lot of the way it shows everything. And I think that, of course, in order to step it up in a sequel, I don't know what they would do, but do you have like a specific race that you really liked that's in this one?
I think my favorite race was the one where Damson's character gets in a car wreck. Just because it's the first time where like they're actually working together as a team without realizing it. Yeah. And it's like it pushes his character, Damson's character, to become better. Yeah. To like fully understand, like, oh, like he was trying to help me.
One of my favorite moments is whenever he does I keep on calling it the Cars 3 machine, but it's probably a real machine that they use. But at first time I was introduced to it was Cars 3, where they like do everything in like a virtual simulator thing. Yeah. Also reminded me of Gran Turismo, which is a movie I liked. But it's this moment where he's like, take me back to that day. And then he's like, it's like Super Minority Report. Yeah. And then he's like trying to figure out what went wrong. And then he does go straight, like Brad Pitt says. And then he gets the race and he's like,
oh, wow, somebody who's had more experience than that.
He might actually be on something. Yeah.
It's like, dude, you were literally in front of him. Like, how is he going to win? Like,
and then he's like, wait, no, it's because he got cocky. And I really liked, even if you like express character frustration at that point, it is very in character for him to have done that at that point, because he does trust him to an extent, but he does do it a little bit too early. And I thought if something that maybe would have made me like the movie less is if Brad Pitt didn't give him that leeway to win at the end. Yeah. Like, I do get that he still ends up being the person that wins. Yeah. But I like that he's like, go win that race. And then it's just one of those motivational things that you see. But outside of that, I do think that my personal favorite, I do agree with you. But maybe it's because I get so dumb when I watch stuff because I'm like super into it. And then it starts raining. I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen it while it's raining. I was like, what's going to happen? And then that's how you know I'm really invested in something, is when I have like one brain cell and I'm like, whoa,
what's happening?
I'm like, these cars go really fast. And
that's funny.
My favorite is personally the last 3-lap thing that happens.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I love when they describe moments like that where certain characters, like even from other sports movies or just like any type of I guess like any character-driven movie. Yeah. Where they talk about a moment.
Nice. Huh? Character-driven. Nice. Yeah.
Thanks. I wasn't trying to too.
That's probably the best one so far. Because
okay, let's calm down. Calm down.
I'm complimenting you.
Okay, but where they talk about like a moment where it gives you like that runner's high. Yeah. That moment of where you feel a sense of, I don't know, you are just like in this blissful moment.
Oh yeah,
and like the way they describe it, like the way he described it, where it's like he feels like he's flying.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like other movies where characters describe like whatever act they're doing. It's like dance. It's a flow of something.
Ford v Ferrari literally had the whole hitting the 9 on the thing, and they described it the same way. They're like there's that zone.
The zone, yeah. I love when they talk about moments like that, and they showcase it.
Yeah.
And when they do something like that, you as like the audience would feel that moment with them.
And I think it takes so much to make, like you said, moments in sports interesting outside of the character development.
Yeah.
Because there are movies where the racing scenes could have been done better and maybe it would have been a better movie.
Yeah, Phantom Menace.
That's true.
Speed Racer.
Yeah. No, don't you dare.
I'm thinking of some other race
Speed
movies.
Racer is like one of the best movies ever made.
Huh?
But yeah.
No.
I'm not in the minority on that.
Report.
To be honest with you, Gran Turismo's good. It could have been better specifically because the races were not the best shot, unfortunately. I think that's what, like, that movie didn't make that impact that it could have because of that. But to be honest with you, I think we're blanking on the sports movies because they probably were forgettable, and that's why we don't remember them. Oh! Yeah. Hands of Stone. That's one.
Why does this sound familiar?
It's with... I don't even remember who it's about. I just remember that it's like Ana de Armas' like second movie that she's in. But...
Hands of Stone.
I'll show you a picture and you'll probably remember, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And that movie with Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger? It's like a boxing movie. It's about old people boxing. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Or is it Robert De Niro?
No, it's Robert De Niro and somebody. I think was it Stallone too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do not remember what that's called.
Dang, I forgot about that one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
that's crazy.
That's how you know that movies don't necessarily make like an impact like
me
that.
After watching all the Rocky movies and the one Raging Bull with De Niro, and that was it. And you're like, oh my god, these two old people are gonna fight.
I'm gonna go box.
I'm gonna go box.
Me after watching Warrior.
I love Warrior so much.
UFC looks hard, to be honest with you.
Let's join the UFC.
All of this looks hard, really. Oh, we didn't review Karate Kid, but I've heard that's whatever.
That's hard too.
Yeah. Karate? I did actually do that. But then I got kicked in the knee. Either way, do you have any negatives with this?
No, I don't.
I don't really either.
I want to see this movie again.
The next time I'm gonna see it, I want to see it in the D box.
Yeah.
I want to feel what the races feel like.
You're like,
it's like I actually saw somebody. I'm not the biggest advocate for filming yourself in a theater, but I do get a kick out of it whenever they film themselves in the D box thing. And somebody posted themselves when they saw, what was it before this? What was it?
Elio.
No, not Elio.
28,000 or 28,000 years. I don't know. I was going to say 28,000 years later.
It's a great movie, by the way. But what the fuck was it?
Which one was it?
How to Train Your Dragon. Yeah, and there was the dragon scenes, and it was like shaking them so hard.
Oh.
And somebody genuinely, you know how the AMC guy that throws his popcorn on accident? But somebody was like, genuinely, I don't know if you can kick up like the notches on these things, but it was like flying, quite literally. It was so funny. So yes, I do plan on seeing F1. Here's the only negative I can think of.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Dunkirk experience. It's
it's just like in a theater.
It's a Top Gun experience. Yeah. Top Gun I tried watching at home. I didn't get the same out of it, and that is a 5 out of 5 movie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's incredibly well crafted, but I do not think you can get a lot out of it while watching it at home.
Yeah.
Will you say that it's good? Yes. Will you think that it's great? Even maybe. But will you get, the absolute most out of it that you possibly could? Definitely not. No.
That was my experience with Interstellar. I think I watched Interstellar at home first, and then eventually whenever they released it again in theaters, it made me love the movie even more.
Yeah.
And then more. And just because it's what you said, it's just like the experience of it. And you're just watching it in something in a bigger screen, and you're just like immersed into that world.
This is one of those movies where I think we can bring this up really quickly, because I've heard people talk about like, oh, I'll wait for streaming, I'll wait for this. Do you think that's something that you believe in, or do you think that like
it's real?
the
streaming.
theater,
the theater's real too.
I'm a Disney Plus agnostic. I don't know if it's real or not. Does that separate for you? There's a difference between that, like, make an impact for you?
Yes. Is that what like? Are you asking like if I rather?
Well, would you rather? Okay, let's say. Because I know that sometimes we've said you can wait for this movie on streaming.
Oh,
like, let's say
that's like
which unfortunately is true. Like Death of a Unicorn. I don't know if like
I wouldn't watch that in theaters.
I wouldn't recommend anybody see that movie, but like
I know it's like how can I won't know until I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Right, and of course I'm gonna form my own opinion by just watching the movie myself.
Yeah.
And not what like others are saying, and so when I go see a movie in theaters, and knowing that I'm like, oh, this movie was made to be seen on the big screen. I understand why people mean.
Yeah.
And there are certain other movies like that as well, but I think it just depends. I don't know. I don't think it depends. I think all movies should be seen in theaters first, regardless. And then, depending on how well that movie was made to be on the big screen, then keep it in theaters for as long as possible.
Part of the reason I got this thought in my head in the first place was because it's an Apple production.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, could you imagine them releasing this? I don't know, like somebody seeing this on an iPad the day that it came out.
That would
suck. And I mean, don't get me wrong, but I've heard that like the trailer's really cool because they do this spatial awareness thing where like it's audio mixed to bounce through like if you're wearing headphones. So whenever they release the movie, I really hope that that's how they mixed it, so you can at least get part of it.
Right now, to get all Apple products
for
me just to get the sound.
I gotta get the iPad, and I gotta get
the
an Apple
AirPods
charger
Max
that are $550, and I think that's how they market that, probably like how they did the U2 album. That'll probably come with F1 just like on your whatever. But one other thing I'm gonna say, Hans Zimmer's score was pretty cool. I thought
that's Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
damn.
It reminded me of Challengers. It was a lot of that like house dance like music.
Oh yeah.
And I really liked the soundtrack because
Yeah.
it was a bunch of my Spotify playlists. It was like Rose and Doja Cat and a bunch of other people, but I really dug that about it. And I guess since they are doing this, would you want to see another one of these?
Well, yeah, if it's like the same, I don't want to say it was not the same type of movie, but it's the same well-made movie, then yes.
Is it going to be Brad Pitt coming back?
I hope. Or... I don't know. I don't know.
Because he ends.
You know what I miss seeing?
What?
It's so random. I miss seeing twins in a movie being like the main characters.
Have there been like 3 this year?
There has. No, I'm saying as the main character. Like right away, they're introduced as twins, and like they have to fight one another.
Oh, fight each other?
Yeah.
Where else have you seen this?
I don't know.
You missed this, but you've never seen this before?
It'd just be cool, right?
I mean, yeah. If it was like a brother v brother, but then they were... This is just Sinners. This is...
Oh, yeah, Sinners. I missed that.
Came out this year.
Yeah. Good job.
Overall, do you have any negatives? No, right?
No, I didn't have any negatives.
I don't either,
no.
other than my random commentator thing, which I found funnier than I did anything else.
Me missing Sinners.
Yeah, that's gonna. I think that this, outside of that, might be like my second favorite thing I've seen this year. Sinners is probably number 1, 100%.
Yeah.
But
so far, yeah, Sinners.
Yeah, I'm gonna see this in the D box thing. I really want to. I want it to like
the dick in a box.
Yeah, the dick box, the 4D experience. Oh god.
Oh god.
But the 4 of them. How did they incorporate that into the races? Either way,
I understand the sound, but.
Yeah, audio mix to like a
All right,
like a What are your overall thoughts and what's your score?
Overall thoughts, I think this movie's great, and I definitely think you should watch this movie in theaters right away before they release it on Apple TV.
Yeah, are they gonna do that 90-day window?
What was it? How many? They said they. I was reading this article about theaters recommending that they try to keep movies at least in theaters.
Yes,
for like 6 weeks before streaming.
Which makes sense because they keep doing this 45-day window or 30-day window, and that's nonsense.
Yeah.
Think about how long Avengers Endgame was in theaters. Remember, we saw that so many times, and I think we watched that like the 5th or 6th time, like 3 months after it had come out.
Yeah.
That just like if you guys want the theater experience for that to keep thriving, keep doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But what's your score?
5 out of 5.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, echoing the same sentiments. Really, I loved this. I thought it was incredible. Definitely see it in the theater, see it in IMAX, see it in the 4D, whatever, see it in literally any gigantic format that you can, because I don't know, I'm sure I would have still loved it even if I just saw it basic, but like still, 5 out of 5 for me as well. This movie's phenomenal. Gave me all the vibes I got from Top Gun Maverick.
Ooh.
I got scared of it.
I don't know. I'm excited for October.
That's a long time from now. Why?
I don't know.
Halloween stuff? Yeah. Either way, we've got... what's up next, you know?
No.
You don't know?
Oh, Jurassic, what is it?
Jurassic World Rebirth.
I'm excited, guys.
I have heard that it's kind of funny because I was talking to somebody else about this.
Yeah.
It's at like 57% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, that's good.
And I was like... he was kind of worried about this, and I was like, I'm going to be honest with you. If you think about it, that's pretty great for Jurassic Park, because
You can only do so much, to be honest.
Jurassic Park 2, which a lot of people now consider a great movie. Is
The Lost World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like 55%?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't expect that.
Yeah. And I've heard that they're like, if you went to this for the reasons that Gareth Edwards makes movies and the reason why you like his movies, you will really like this.
Yeah.
Because...
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I've also read a lot of reviews that people that did love it say that it's the best one since the first.
Oh.
Yeah. And there's been a few people that have said that.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm pretty excited for that movie.
Excited.
Yeah.
Anytime there's dinosaurs, I'm stoked.
That's true. I'm really excited for the hybrid stuff, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I'm curious about it.
I like this idea of, I don't know, I like this idea of like making just random mutant stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Either way, that's what we're talking about.
I want to see the T-Rex again.
Up next. Oh, yeah.
T-Rex and like playing some type of like heavy metal song.
Oh, and I don't think we'll do that. I don't think we've ever done that before.
No.
And then
I just see TikTok edits.
Squid Game's next.
Yeah.
I've heard it's pretty short. I've heard it's like 3 episodes.
Really?
So, yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. I'll watch one tonight then.
Yeah. So, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. What are they going to do?
You're going to like, comment, and subscribe.
Please do, and we will see you next time.
Boom! Yes!